Yay! God, this is another tattered heart prayer. And my work is to remember that you accept just that kind of currency. I had closed myself off to you for so long, waiting to arrive in fashionable robes to maybe impress you a little bit, and wait to get rich enough to display handfuls of gold to you. I thought you'd like it better that way. Can we sit on the floor and laugh together about this now? Of course, you never wanted any of that. But just for me to grow into the honesty of my heart, like sweetness into a plum, and bring myself to you tangled but whole, and say, God, in robes or rags, I'm yours.
בישוע של מעלה ובישוע של מטה, על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקלה, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
בישיבה של מעלה ובישיבה של מטה, על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים. בישיבה של מעלה ובישיבה של מטה, על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
Page 205.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei u'shevu מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו Hon yehon sheran שביתי ותהילינו מבוטלי לשרירין ולא קיימין נדרנה לנידרי ואסרנה לאסרי ושבועתנה לשבות.
Robert. Go ahead.
Dindana uri sabana udeya karimna
vedeya karimna
bediya sana Yom Kippurim
Yom Kippurim
Abba Aleinu Letova Kol Hon Yicharadna Me'on Kol Hon Yehon Sharan Betelin umevutali ויסרנה לאסרי.
ואסרי וחרמי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבות מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא ותהילים מבוטלים You can sing this with me. V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham ki lechol ha'am mishkag again. V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham ki lechol ha'am mishkag. Last one. V'nislach lechol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham ki lechol ha'am mishkag. וסלחנה לעוון העם הזה, כי גודל חסדך, וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני שמחתי כי דברך ויאמר אדוני שמחתי כי דברך ויאמר אדוני שמחתי כי דברך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
You may be seated. The Hasidic master, Reb Chaim of Tzantz, used to tell this story on Kol Nidre evening. Once there was a man who went for a walk in the forest and lost his way. For many long hours he wandered through the thick woods, unable to find a path out. Finally, he came across another human being, and his heart was filled with pure joy, thinking to himself, now I'm certain to find a way out of the forest. When they neared each other, he called out, "Brother, I'm so grateful to have found you. I'm lost. I've been wandering for hours. Can you please show me the way out?" Said the other back to him, "I'm sorry. I don't know the way out either. I too have been wandering for a long time, unable to find my way out of this maze." At this, the first man burst into tears. "When I saw you, I felt sure I was saved, that you would show me the way. And now I can see that there is no hope." But the second smiled a gentle smile and replied, "It's true, I can't show you the way out, but still, I can show you something. Now at least we both know the ways that don't lead out of the forest." And more important, now we can go searching together. The journey of the next 25 hours is an overwhelming one. We will navigate ancient prayers written in a language that most of us don't speak. We'll reflect together about the hardest things in the world, about regrets, about loss, about our own mortality. We'll bravely peer directly into our hearts and take an accounting of the state of our souls. And we'll do it all while hungry and thirsty and tired. It will be possible, even likely, that at times we all, myself included, will feel a bit lost. And so our best resource for this journey will be each other. By standing together, singing together, supporting each other, that's how we'll find the strength to make it through. So I ask you to look around this room at the people who are near you, partners, children, friends, community, this whole awesome, holy congregation of others, all equally scared, all equally trying to find their way. We don't face the future alone. We are here together, and together we are strong enough to face this awesome moment of fear, of hope, and of awesome possibility. Please rise, we continue. Baruch Hu on page 207.
Yai, nai, nai, yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, yai, yai, yai. Yai, 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 na, 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 na. Yai, 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 na, 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 na. Yai, nai, nai, yai, nai, 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 nai. Hi, yai, 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 nai. Baruch, Baruch Hu, et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
You may take your seats. Continue.
שערים וביטון המסנתים, מחליף הזמנים ומפסדים ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו אל החי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
I am blessed to be part of a remarkable clergy team. On my left, Cantor Amy Robinson Katz, and on my right, our education director, Rabbi Robin Funberg, who leads a school where children love to come and feel safe to grow and learn.
There was a king who had 2 sons. He loved them with a complete love. And to show his love, he gave them each a measure of wheat and a bundle of flax. The wise son, what did he do? He took the flax and he wove it into cloth. He took the wheat and made it into flour. He sifted it and ground it, and he kneaded it and baked it. And then he arranged it on the table and spread the cloth over it. And he left it until the king arrived. The foolish son did nothing at all. After some time, The king came to his palace and said, "My children, bring me what I gave you." The one son brought out the bread on the table covered with the beautiful cloth, and the other brought out the wheat in a box with the bundle of flax on top. When God gave the Torah to Israel, to all of us, God gave it to us with complete love. God intended us to use it, to read it, to learn from it, to study it, to turn it and turn it, just as you knead bread. From that kneading, the bread rises, and from our study, we will rise. We will become wise in the ways we treat others. We will become knowledgeable about our people. We will be nourished by the sacred ancient words that still taste sweet in our mouths. Then we will pass that on to our children, for them to discover and question and learn and grow. They will continue our legacy and then teach our Torah to their children. Ahavat olam, God gave us Torah with great love. We give it to our children with great love. And now with love, I would like to invite our religious school children and their teachers to the bima to sing Ahavat olam and the Shema. Come on, kids. Come on. Come on. All of you. And Madrachim, too, if you're here.
אם שמוע תשמעו מצוותיי אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום לאהבת אדוני אלוהיכם ולעבדו בכל לבבכם ובנפשכם ותרצו וצמנו לכם פן יפתה לבבכם וסרתם לאלוהים אחריהם לכם דברי אל לבבכם למען ירבו אתכם למה שלבדם אמרתי עליהם לעשות man תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לי. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We're on the bottom of 209, continuing on to page 210.
ומעביר ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה מרים ובני ישראל לך אנו שירה שמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראובנך בוקע ימור לפני משה זה אלי אנו ואמרו
Page 211.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום העמידנו מלכנו לחיים ופרסלנו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We rise on page 212 the declaration of the Day of Atonements. Continue directly into Chatzi Kaddish and the silent Amidah, an opportunity either to follow the words in the book, or just as good, to follow the words in your hearts, an opportunity to take minutes of prayer in silence.
כי ביום הזה יכפר לכם, לטהר אתכם, מכוח חטאותיכם, לפני אדוני תטהרו. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעמד יברח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. וישתבח, ויפר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריך הוא לעילא לעילא. מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה, ואימרו אמן.
Silent Amidah begins on page 213, continues through page 221. If you're finished with your Amidah, you can take a seat. Those people who are continuing to pray, please continue to pray. Grace asked me in the car, why do grown-ups not eat today? I said it's so that we don't have anything to rush off to. She said, but I like dinner. I said, you're a kid. We don't have anywhere to go, so we can give for each other a little bit of time. We can let people finish their Amidah. Lo tov heyot adam levado. It's not good for a person to be all alone. Wait, I think I've heard that one before. 10 days ago, I spoke about the first flaw in the divine plan. The first man who was created alone, but it turns out he needed a partner, a family, a community, just like we all do. And now on Yom Kippur, I ask, what if maybe, God forbid, God knew what God was doing all along? Is there something to the idea that this whole noisy, chaotic, diverse, terribly beautiful human species was once embodied in a single being? After all, we are the people who have lived and died for the idea of the oneness of God. Certainly, there's something profound to consider in this singular instant in which humanity was also one. I'm getting ahead of myself, though. Let me start somewhere less intense than the Garden of Eden. Consider instead an anxious 21-year-old with a massive, perpetually messy Jew-fro of hair, back when I had hair, hiding out in the second-floor bathroom of what was then called the University of Judaism, desperately reading and rereading my notes. And then finally, there's a knock at the door, and a voice tells me, "You should probably come out now. The interview is about to begin." A rabbinical school interview panel is a pretty intimidating experience. Mine was stocked with giants: Brad Artson, Elliot Dorff, Naomi Levy, Cheryl Peretz, Aaron Alexander, half a dozen others, all sitting up and down a long boardroom table. Thankfully, they had done away with the old trick where they used to put a water glass in front of you and see if in your nervousness you would remember to bless it before taking a drink. I remember that my hands were shaking as I sat down at that table. Let me tell you, after that, CBI search committee, piece of cake, Mike. The first question came from Rabbi Alexander. So, if you were going to teach just one text for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? And I thought to myself, that's really not fair. I'm coming to you to teach me the texts of our tradition. I'm coming to spend 5 years immersed in Torah and Talmud, Midrash, and mysticism, and then I'll stock my teacher's toolkit with the texts I'll share with the communities I'll serve. But I needed an answer, and so I gave one. And you want to know what? Of all the questions I was asked that day, this is the only one that nearly 2 decades later, I would still answer the exact same way. So on this Kol Nidre night, my first as this community's rabbi, I want to share with you my core text, my constant companion, the place for me from which everything else takes root. It's in your machzor in a little card you might have noticed. If you got a machzor from the front, I personally stuffed each one of them. If you got a machzor from that side, there were cards out and about. And if you don't have a card or you're following along on Zoom, I will read the text out loud. The words come from the Mishnah, which is the first collection of rabbinic writings compiled after the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. As the ruins of the building, which once sent up the smoke of countless sacrifices, continued to burn and smolder, the surviving generation of teachers and sages gathered in a place called Yavna to envision a new world. The masterpiece that took them 120 years to produce was called the Mishnah, and it covered in 63 tractates every conceivable aspect of what it takes to construct a Jewish society. They wrote about matters as lofty as God and prayer, and as mundane as what you're supposed to do when you find someone's lost garment or runaway cow. They laid out the rules of Shabbat and Kashrut, along with the systems of ritual, family, property, and even criminal law. And it's in the middle of one of those discussions of criminal procedure that the rabbis go off on a bit of a tangent. Imagine that, rabbis on a tangent. And they wind up saying something so profound about the value and meaning of human life that I believe its message has never quite been equaled. And that's where we begin. Lefichach nivra Adam yechidi. Therefore was the first human being created alone, if you want to follow along in the text. God might have created Adam together with a partner, or a minion, or a village, Certainly that would have been a safer strategy. One is just so vulnerable. Imagine that Adam was created and then promptly consumed by a saber-toothed tiger. Or imagine that he turned out to be unable to obey just one simple rule about some fruit better left on the tree. But God, the rabbis say, doesn't make mistakes. Instead, God created Adam alone in the garden in order to teach us something about the value of each and every human life, about the power of one. And therefore, was the first human being created in order to teach you that whosoever destroys a single life, the Torah considers it as though they destroyed the entire world, and whosoever saves a single life, it is as though they saved the entire world. Listen to how audacious this claim really is. Each human being, from the most powerful king to the beggar at the gate, rich and poor, young and old, famous and utterly unknown, is to be regarded as having infinite, nearly unimaginable worth. How do we begin to understand the concept of one human being as an entire world? On the biological level, one human being has at least the theoretical capacity to bring forth countless future generations. Within your own family tree, your existence depends not just on parents and grandparents, but on an unbroken lineage of hundreds of generations. Should your 10th or 100th great-grandfather have failed to really impress your 10th or 100th great-grandmother, the entire history that led up to you would have ceased in that moment to be. Some scientists studying the mitochondria in our cells believe they're coming closer to pinpointing one woman living on the plains of East Africa more than 100,000 years ago, who is ancestor to every living human being on the planet. One life, an entire world. But this passage makes clear that the infinite value of each life is a universal truth, and therefore not just limited to those who have children. Many people, by choice, and some very much not by choice, do not become literal ancestors. And yet the rabbis see all of us as equally valuable because there is far more than one way to birth something new into the world. The impact of our lives, like ripples in still water, extends far beyond us, oftentimes without us even knowing how far they might travel. I suspect that everyone in this room can easily draw to mind someone who has touched your life for whom you might be little more than a footnote. But for you, they made all the difference. Maybe it was a teacher for whom you were one of thousands who passed through her classroom, but she made you feel that you mattered, and that wasn't something you heard a whole lot at home. And that was the buoy that kept you from sinking under the waves. Maybe it was a teenage romance that lasted a few short summer weeks, and who knows where they wound up or if they even still think of me, but which forever shaped our sense of what it is to love and to be loved. The scientist who you'll never have a chance to know, but who contributed to the cancer drug that gave you 20 more good years with your sister. The beloved writer, long dead, whose books opened up worlds of imagination to you when you were small and inspired you to teach your children and grandchildren to be lovers of story. We are bound together, by what Rabbi Larry Kushner calls invisible lines of connection, a web of gossamer threads that gently tug and nudge us along to become the people we were put on earth to be. And just as others have been essential to your journey to this moment, you have been too. I promise. No life is insignificant. There is no one who has not, at some time or another, been another person's angel. Infinitely valuable, unspeakably precious. And so if we're to take this text as more than just beautiful poetry, if we're to take it seriously as a matter of religious doctrine, then on this day of reflection, we need to ask ourselves how we can be partners in constructing a world in which all people are in fact treated as infinitely valuable. My teacher, Rabbi Sharon Brous, who I've heard expound this text many times, often uses the following thought experiment. She says, imagine that you're a very, 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 very wealthy person. So wealthy that you have just purchased the most expensive painting ever sold at auction. The current record holder, by the way, 2016, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman purchased Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi for $450 million. Many people now think it's a forgery. He doesn't get his money back. Imagine that you have just purchased an old master worth nearly $500 million, and you're taking it home in the back seat of your car, carefully seat-belted, of course, and you arrive at the front door, but the artwork is heavy, and you're by yourself. And so you decide to prop it in the alley behind the house overnight until your brother-in-law can come in the morning to help you schlep it to the perfect spot upstairs. We laugh. What would we say about a person who leaves such a painting in an alley, a crazy fool, a mashugana? We wouldn't leave something worth hundreds of millions of dollars in an alley. We wouldn't leave something worth a slightly more modest $10 or $20 million in an alley. We wouldn't leave something worth $10,000 in an alley. We wouldn't leave something worth $10 in an alley if we could help it. And knowing that to be true, how do we grapple then with the fact that tonight, in the state of California, 160,000 human beings, including 40,000 children, will spend the night unhoused on dangerous city streets, exposed to wind and weather and all manners of violence and abuse? I bring that up not because our ancient texts prescribe specific policy solutions to solve homelessness or any of our other modern plagues, but simply to remind us, and me too, that we can't both consider ourselves bound by this tradition and indifferent to this essential element of it. As inheritors of these texts, we are called to hold to account a culture that renders far too many people invisible. Old people, poor people, disabled people, sick people. People who look different or love different or live different or think different than we do. The stranger, the outsider, the marginalized, the oppressed. That we who profess to believe that all people are made in the image of God have an obligation to be part of bringing us all closer to a world where everyone can live out that full measure of dignity. The text continues. Umipnei shalom habriot, shalo yomar adam lechavero, abba gadol me'avicha. And it's also for the sake of peace among people, so that no one can say to their fellow, my parent was greater than yours. If the first part of this text teaches that all human beings have infinite worth, then the second part speaks to inherent equality. This is the fundamental incompatibility, I believe, the fundamental incompatibility between religion and racism. When whole groups are treated as less worthy of God's blessing than others, there is a rupture in the essential fabric of our humanity. Prejudice of any kind is a denial of the spiritual truth, and it turns out the biological truth that we all come from one source, that the blood that runs through our veins is essentially one, that we are all God's children, and God, a good parent, doesn't play favorites. And what's more, if we are all children of a single parent, then what does that make us to each other? Nothing other than family. And while Lord knows we don't have to like every member of our family equally, and thank God for that, we do have to show up for them. Being part of a family means that there are people in the world who have our backs, and we have theirs, who will come when we call, with whom we share the long road. This text invites us to see one another as all members of one great human mishpacha, united by collective history and common destiny, which links us all one to the other as siblings, with all the blessings and responsibilities of sisterhood and brotherhood. And finally, Adam was created alone to show the greatness of the Holy One. For if a person strikes many coins from one mold, they all come out the same. But the Holy One made each person in the image of the original Adam, and yet not one resembles their fellow. Therefore, each and every person is obligated to say, Bishvili nivra haolam, for my sake was the world created. There have been a few social experiments that have attempted to achieve a society in which all are treated as equally valuable by flattening our differences and claiming that equality requires sameness. That's not our people's path. The rabbis speak of unity, not uniformity. The dazzling diversity of humanity is a testimony to the artistry of the Creator, not a challenge to the social order. In a room full of hundreds of souls, none of us share the same eyes, and none of us share the same fingerprints. Our voices are different, our minds are different. And if this room was expanded 100 times or 1,000, that would still be so. The unique collection of aptitudes, of challenges, of attitudes, of experiences that make up singular, irreplaceable you is both unprecedented and never to be repeated. You are a one of a kind. And the Mishnah insists that it's possible to be infinitely valuable, totally equal, and still completely ourselves. And so finally, I turn attention to the last line of this text, in which we say, for my sake the world was created. I have long believed that this is a call to service. A rabbinic commentary expounding on the selection of Abraham as the father of the covenant remarks, there is not a single person who does not have a unique corner of the world that needs a light that only they can bring. The world was made for you means that it was made with a purpose that only you can fulfill, a healing that only we can effect. When I name and bless a new baby, I always say, may you grow, little one, to know that the world is impoverished if you are not yourself. I pray that for each and every one of us. This Mishnah from Tractate Sanhedrin is my home. It's my core text, my Jewish mission statement. Everything, truly everything in my religious life ultimately comes back to its principles, to the belief that every human life is infinitely valuable, that we are equal members of a shared family, and that we each have a purpose to fulfill in God's beautifully diverse world. Every Shabbat reminds me of the first principle, that our worth is not defined by what we have in our pockets, by our outputs, by our accolades, by our titles or degrees, that our worth is intrinsic, inalienable, a fundamental part of the package of what it means to be made B'Tselem Elohim. Pesach is nothing if not a reminder of the second principle, that all human beings are family with one origin, and therefore the way of thinking that allows one group to subjugate another is sheer blasphemy. In God's world, there are no masters or slaves. Rather, we are equally beloved children of a shared parent, all meant to shine. And finally, it's in learning Torah with others that I am most clearly reminded of our beautiful differences. I have never once sat and studied a text with another and not been struck by an insight I never would have come to on my own, a facet of the diamond that could only be unlocked through someone else's eyes. It's in the great symphony of the study hall that each person plays their part, and the music swells with the majesty of all the diverse voices. And so this is my core text. It's who I am and what I feel called to live up to. And now what I want to know is what's yours? On what foundation is your Judaism built? What idea motivates you? challenges you, wakes you up in the morning, and keeps you up at night. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to a year of learning on that topic. We'll launch it in November, and we'll explore our core texts with each other. I want to spend this first year as your community's rabbi introducing myself through my texts. And I'm looking forward to inviting a few exceptional teachers of Torah to do the same. But much more importantly than what I have to share, I look forward to strengthening our connections with each other as a community by asking all who are prepared to participate to dig deep and to share of yourself, your core texts, your songs, your poems, your prayers, your truths, the foundation stone on which everything is laid. I hope that you'll join me. May we plant ourselves together in rich soil, and may our roots grow strong and deep. May our tradition ennoble us, challenge us, frustrate us, invite us to grow toward the light. May we be blessed to spend our days, Osek B'Torah, busy in the garden of our people's ancestral wisdom. And may we flourish together for many long years in joy. Gemar Chatima Tova.
We'll continue on page 223 with Ya'aleh. We'll do the first two and last two stanzas. Ya'aleh tachanuneinu me'erev v'yavo shabbateinu miboker ve'yera'eh rinuneinu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh koleinu me'erev v'yavo tzidkateinu miboker ve'yera'eh piryoneinu ad ha'arev
We skip to the bottom, 6 lines from the bottom.
Ya'aleh dovkeinu me'erev ve'yavo gileinu miboker ve'yera'eh bakashateinu ad ha'arev Ya'aleh en kateinu me'erev v'yavo ilecha miboker ve'yera'eh eleinu ad ha'arev.
Top of page 225.
Yay, 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 והגוף פועלך חוסה Top of 226. El erech apayim ata, uval harachamim nigreta, v'derek teshuva oreta, gedulat rachamecha v'chasadecha tizkor hayom v'chol yom tizkor, l'zera yedidecha, tefen aleinu b'rachamim, ki atahu bal harachamim, בתחנון ובתפילה פניך נקדם, כהודעת לעניו מקדם. מחרון בחשוב כמו בתורתך כתוב, בצל כנפיך נכסה ונתלונן, כיום בירד אדוני בענן. תעבור על פשע ותמחה שם, כיום ויתייצב עמו שם. תאזין שבתנו ותקשיב מנו מאמר, כי יום ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני, אדוני.
Please rise.
רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד באמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נוצר עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה. וסלחת לעווננו וחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו, כי חטאנו, מחרבנו מכנו, כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני, טוב וסלח, ורב חסד, לכל קוראיך.
May be seated. We continue on page 227.
We'll do the first two and the last two. כי ניקח עומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר. כן אנחנו בידך, חסד נוצר, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ועל תפן ליצר. כי הנה כאבן ביד המסתן, ברצותו אוחז וברצותו מחטט. כן אנחנו בידך, מחיה וממוות, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ועל תפן ליצר. כי הנה קריע ביד הרוקם, ברצותו מיישר וברצותו מעקם. כן אנחנו בידך, אלקנו ונקם, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ועל תפן ליצר. Last one. כי הנה ככסף ביד הצורף, ברצותו משגשג וברצותו מצרף. כן אנחנו ביד ידך, ממציא למזור טרף, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ועל תפן הגצת.
Page 229.
אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים ולסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ברוח, לא קראתם תגמול. עיר הורית לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שנתת לעניו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני.
Please rise.
ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני. לעווננו וחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו, כי חטאנו, מחלנו מלכנו, כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני.
We continue on page 233. We remain standing, and the ark is open.
Shema kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel b'rachamim uv'ratzon, et tefilateinu. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, chadesh yameinu kekedem. Al tashlichenu milfanecha, v'ro kodshecha al tikach mimenu. Al tashlichenu leitzikna, kichlot kocheinu, al tazvenu.
Al tashlichenu leitzikna, kichlot kocheinu, al tazvenu. Al tazvenu Adonai Eloheinu.
Eloheinu melui avotenu, al tazvenu, va'al titashenu, va'al timachenu, va'al teven b'ritcham. Leman shimcha hagadol timcha v'tislach la'avonenu kakatu b'divrei kodshecha leman shimcha Adonai v'salakta la'avoni ki ravu.
If you want a very brief seating break, you can take it on page 234.
Eloheinu v'eloi avotenu Zalach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. Ki anu ahamecha, ve'ata Eloheinu. Anu vanecha, ve'ata avinu. Anu avadecha, ve'ata
We rise and continue with the first communal confession, bottom of page 234.
ואתה ערך אפיים, אנו מלא עוון, ואתה מלא רחמים, אנו ימינו כצל עובר, ואתה הוא ושנותיך לא יתאמו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו שאין אנחנו הזפנים וכשי עורף לומר לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו אבל אנחנו ואבותינו חטאנו. יאי 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 Tafalnu sheker. Yatznu ra. Kizavnu. Latznu. Maradnu. Miatznu. Saranu, Kishinu Ore, Rashanu, Shichatznu, Tiavnu, Ta'inu, Titanu, Sanu b'mitzvotecha u'mishpatecha hatovim v'lo shama lanu ve'ata tzadik al kol ha'balenu ki ata med asita v'anachnu hirshanu.
Page 237.
Achet shechatanu lefanecha be'ones uvratzon v'achet shechatanu lefanecha be'imutz chalev achet shechatanu lefanecha b'li dad v'achet shechatanu lefanecha to ish sefatayim. Achet shechatanu lefanecha achet shechatanu lefanecha dad shechatanu lefanecha b'chonat Achet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara v'achet shechatanu lefanecha b'yodeim uv'lo yodeim ve'al kulam Eloi selichot selach lanu mechal lanu
We have sinned against you through denial and deceit, and we have sinned against you by taking bribes. We have sinned against you by clever cynicism, and we have sinned against you by speaking ill of others. We have sinned against you. We have sinned against you through condescension, and we have sinned against you through stubbornness. For all these sins forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, and grant us atonement.
שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת ובחטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות החטא שחטאנו לפניך בצדיעת שחטאנו לפניך צרות עין החטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשומת יד והחטא שחטאנו לפניך Betim hon levav ve'al kulam Eloi selichot selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu.
On page 240, at Bet. Huyanenu.
Mishan ala Sarah meno beziknata Huyanenu. Mishan ala Avraham abinu bahara Moria Huyanenu. Mishana litzak benam shenekar al gabei hamizbeach. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'rivka beheryona. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Yaakov bevedil. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Leah be'oniyah. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Rachel b'itzvona. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Yosef beved Asurim. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'lam yaladot ha'ivriot al ha'avnaim. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Yocheved al sfat ha'yaor. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'avotenu limotenu al yam suf. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Moshe b'chorev. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Miriam b'Beira. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Aharon b'Machta. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'Pinchas b'Kumo mitoch ha'eda. Hu yaneinu. Mishana livnot tzlof achad b'yom dan petach ohel moed. Hu yaneinu. Mishana l'chol hatzadikim v'hatzadikot. Hu yaneinu. V'hachasidim v'hachasidot. Hu yaneinu. V'hatemimim v'hatemimot. Hu yaneinu. V'hayesharim v'hayesharot. V'harachmanim v'harachmaniyot. Hu yaneinu.
Be seated. It's my honor to call up my friend and partner. Not every rabbi can say that about their president, but truly, truly, my friend and partner, Phyllis Abrams, CBI's president, to share with you some important words. As rabbi in this community, I ask that you truly listen to her message about the great dreams that we have for what can come. And I ask for open-heartedness to meet this incredible moment where, with your help, I know we'll accomplish amazing things together.
Whoa, there's a lot of people in the room. Shana Tova, Happy New Year from my home to yours. I have been privileged to be president of CBI for the past 21 months. Yes, I actually did say the word privileged. Well, I admit that trying to open the shul during a pandemic and keep it open while keeping our congregation safe and happy, which is a never-ending task, has had its challenges. It has also had its rewards. I have been privileged to work with 3 rabbis, Spitz, Goldstein, and Greenwald. Has there been anyone else in this position that has done this? It is an incredible honor to have been their partner and continue to be a partner. I have also been privileged to bring Cantor Amy on in a full-time position, adding music to uplift our community. But make no mistake, I did not do this alone. I am very privileged and very grateful to work with our professional staff, our youth, religious school, and preschool directors, and our incredibly talented board who dedicate their time and energy for the betterment of CBI. And I am more than grateful to the search committees for their efforts in selecting an outstanding interim rabbi and a phenomenal new senior rabbi. Last year, I said, when I found CBI, now 27 years ago, I knew I had found a home. And while our physical home has stayed the same, well, mostly the same, our home is changing. Let me share some things that you may or may not have noticed. we have reopened the shul for Friday night services on the first and third Fridays of the month, with Shabbat Club and our very talented U.S. Wires leading the first Friday, which, by the way, is this coming Friday. We have coffee on Shabbat morning in the lobby. We take time during Shabbat morning services to meet and greet new and returning congregants. We have transformed the service for our youngest congregants into bite-sized Shabbat. Junior congregation is thriving, as is our religious school. The preschool is, for me, a source of pride and laughter, and has engaged both Rabbi Adam and Cantor Amy on a weekly basis. Our USY chapter is well on its way to once again being recognized as a chapter of excellence. Our social action committee is more engaged than ever, working in our local community and beyond. And have you heard about Shabbat under the stars? We had 160 attendees on our patio in August, which we thought was amazing. And then we topped it with close to 200 in September. And we have new members too. We are growing. In August, we held our first New Faces brunch with over 100 adults and children who had recently joined or had expressed an interest in CBI. We have 40 new members since July, covering all of our demographics. This is why I feel privileged to be president of CBI. As a person with a strong educational background in mathematics, I tend to relate to problems and situations, always hopeful of finding a precise answer rather than an abstract one. And so, in preparation for tonight, I wanted to define the term community and was immediately drawn to the function of a Venn diagram to serve as an illustration. A Venn diagram, simply stated, is a pictorial rendition that includes all possible relationships between a varying set of items. My thought was that if we all drew a Venn diagram of our lives, there would be circles for husbands and wives, children, work, friends, recreation, and spirituality. And as all of you can attest by your very presence here tonight, each of our diagrams would overlap and intercept at a very similar point, our Jewish lives and our community. Parshat Truma in the Torah states, "Tell the Israelite people to bring me gifts. You shall accept gifts for me from every person whose heart so moves them." While we no longer tell people to bring gifts, how many copper and silver bowls do you actually need? You could think of this parsha as the very first crowdsourcing campaign. And while this parsha applies specifically to the building of the tabernacle, the message is applicable to Congregation B'nai Israel in 2022. Tomorrow morning, as part of the Utana Tokef, we will chant Teshuvah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah, and they will have the power to transform the harshness of our destiny. But tonight, on Kol Nidre, we ask that you help CBI continue to be our best to transform and expand our community. While membership and financial commitments cover some of our expenses, they do not cover all of our expenses. The generosity of our members allows us to offer the variety of programs and services needed by our community, which we are working to expand. Our board has already made a Kol Nidre pledge, 100% of the board participating. We ask that you join them in making a pledge that is significant to you. Last week, we emailed a link for our 5783 appeal. For those of you with us in person here tonight, you were given a Kol Nidre appeal card when you arrived. Please consider making a pledge. Ushers will be collecting envelopes in the next few minutes. You can also place an envelope in the basket as you leave CBI this evening. There is new energy at CBI. There are new programs at CBI. There is a new clergy team at CBI. We hope that you will find something here that resonates with you, making you feel uplifted and satisfied. We know that whatever you choose, you will make a difference. Rabbi Adam stresses the need for and the importance of community. We hope that you make CBI your community. Blessings to you and your family. Shana Tova, Gemar Chatima Tova.
While you reach into your hearts and into your pockets and think about what you value and what this community brings to you, invite forward Inasia to elevate our souls.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu.
Invite us all to rise. The ark is opened. Page 243.
אבינו מלכנו חטאנו לפניך, אבינו מלכנו אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. אבינו מלכנו עשה עמנו למען שמך, אבינו מלכנו חדש עלינו שנה טובה, אבינו מלכנו מתעלת, אבינו מלכנו זבח, אבינו מלכנו בתוך השם בצבאינו, מלכנו גל ישראל בשמש. כן, בכל אמנות, אבינו מלכנו בחיים. אבינו מלכנו חזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו עזרנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו וכתבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה. אבינו מלכנו עשה למענך ולא למעננו.
אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו. אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו כי אין בנו מעשים. Let's sing that again, אבינו מלכנו. אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו. אבינו מלכנו חוננו ועננו כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה
Bottom 245.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי, בהמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב ומיבור, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. בריחו לעילא לעילא מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ומיבו, אמן. תקבל צלות תהונו ותכון דכל ישראל, קודם אבוהון דבישמיה ומיבו, אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ומיבו, אמן. עשה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמירו, אמן.
246 is Aleinu.
עלינו לשם ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Kaddish is found on page 247. For all who are carrying a loved one in memory in this moment, we say Kaddish together in testimony to the idea that people die, but love does not. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon u'vyomei chon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. On page 248, we have the psalm for the season of the High Holy Days. Our cantor's written a new melody to the part of the psalm, the most famous probably part of the psalm, that begins with the words Achat Sha'alti. It is 7 lines down from the top. Achat Sha'alti, you may notice in the translation, the psalmist says, I have only one question for you, God, and then proceeds to ask a whole lot of questions. attended a teaching once in Yerushalayim, and a lovely teacher of Hasidic mysticism, Shlomo Katz, said, that's because the first question is, are you listening? And if you're listening, oy, do I have a list. On this day in which we call out to God in all the ways that we do, really it's just different forms, one after another, of the same question. Are you listening? Because we have some things to talk about.
You can sing it with me.
Invite Phyllis up to share with us a few words about what to expect over the next 25 hours.
Just a few quick announcements just to remind everybody about the schedule tomorrow. Services will start at 8:30 tomorrow morning, led by Hal Hurwitz. The Torah service will begin at about 9:45. Carl Cedar will be leading first our young family services at 9:15, and then junior congregation is at 11. Note there's a slight time change difference in time. The tickets say 10:30 or 10 o'clock. It's actually 11 o'clock. Both are being held in the Family Life Center. Rabbi's sermon will begin about 10:45, followed by Yizkor, and Musaf with Cantor Amy will begin at about 11:45. The teen discussion will be 10:30 up in the youth lounge. The break will be about 1:30-ish or so. And then we have two programs for the break tomorrow. From 2 to 3, Rabbi Funberg will be having a discussion about the story of forgiveness. And that's going to be held in the sanctuary. And then over in the Family Life Center, there will be from 3 to 4, a gentle yoga and restorative aromatherapy with Kimberly Tolman, who's the owner of Cafe Yoga, and I understand a neighbor of yours.
Of ours. She lives over our fence line.
Oh. Mincha tomorrow at 4:15, Yismechu, Ne'ilah, and Havdalah to take us out on a high, starting at 5:45. We hope you have a very meaningful and easy fast. Shana Tova.
Ask you all to please rise. If you are standing next to somebody you love, this is a good time to put an arm around them. If you're standing next to somebody you just met, this is a good time to ask for consent and then consider putting an arm around them. If you are here on your own, know that you are not on your own. Know that you are here together with community that loves you and welcomes you. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, God and God of all those who came before us. We feel the magic in the air, the charge, the crackle, the openness between the realms of earth and heaven that make this day so very beautiful, so very overwhelming, so very profoundly powerful. God, we thank you for the gift of community, for the gift of fellow travelers and beloved friends who help us to find our way in the dark. God, we ask blessings on those who are here tonight with broken hearts, those who are carrying the heavy weight of grief, of prayers for healing for themselves and their loved ones, of loneliness, confusion, despair. God, on this day, be with them and lighten their burdens and teach us how to share with one another that we may hold each other up. God, we are grateful for the gift of this day, and we pray that we use it well. Yehi shalom b'chelech, shalva b'ramatayich. May there be peace in our homes and tranquility in our hearts. And we say all together, Amen. We'll conclude with Yigdal, page 250.
Yigdal Elohim chai ve'yishtabach nimtza ve'enit el metziuto echad ve'en yachid ke'yichudo na'elam ve'gal ein sof le'atuto ein lo demot haguf ve'eino guf lo naruch elav kedushato kadmo lechol davar asher nibera rishon be'en reshit le'reshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreg gedulato umalechuto shefa nevuato netano elan segulato v'tifarto Yeshuato. Last one. Meitim Yechayel Berov Chasto. Baruch Adean Shem Tehilato. Meitim Yechayel Berov Chasto. Baruch Adean Shem Tehilato.
Shana Tova, Tikatevu, V'Techamtenu. May we be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Shana Tova, everybody. See you tomorrow.